Above the clouds, a journey toward dignity. Sierra Davis couldn't stop checking her phone, not for messages or social media updates, but for the time. She had double-checked the flight information at least 5 times since entering Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport, even though the boarding pass had been in her hand for nearly an hour. This was her first solo trip, her first real taste of independence. The idea made her pulse race with excitement, even if a faint current of nerves hummed beneath the surface. The night before, she had packed her bag with the meticulous care of someone who knew how unpredictable life could be. Her boarding pass, her photo ID, wallet, charger, even a backup charger, each item methodically checked off a handwritten list that her father, Desmond Davis, had helped her draft. He had hovered the way only a parent could, issuing last-minute reminders like a general dispatching orders before battle. "Call me as soon as you land," he'd said. "Keep your bag close. Don't talk to strangers." She'd laughed, rolling her eyes at him in the way teenagers always do when they're impatient for freedom. "Dad, I've got this," Sierra had assured him. But now, standing alone in Terminal 4, the words felt heavier. For the first time in her life, there wasn't a parent nearby reminding her to zip her backpack or fussing about whether her phone had enough battery life. It was just her, and the open sky ahead. Sierra adjusted the strap of her duffel bag across her shoulder and wove her way through the crowd. The terminal hummed with life, families hugging in reunion, flight crews rolling past with practiced efficiency, business travelers murmuring into phones. Announcements echoed above the shuffle of sneakers and luggage wheels, adding to the white noise of motion and departure. She reached the self-service kiosk and tapped the screen, feeling a little older with each step of the process. Confirm flight. Select seat. Print boarding pass. Her fingers moved quickly, the machine whirring softly before spitting out her confirmation. A one-way ticket to Seattle. It wasn't a long trip, just a weekend visit with her cousin Marcus, but it was hers. Her dad had booked the ticket, as he always did when family travel was involved, and Sierra hadn't thought much about it until now. Grasping the boarding pass, she stepped away from the machine and scanned the area, trying to get her bearings. That's when she noticed her. A woman, pale skin, short blonde hair, wearing a tailored blazer. Mid-40s, maybe older. She stood just behind the counter, her eyes fixed on Sierra with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Sierra hesitated, then shook it off. Maybe the woman was watching the kiosk, making sure people didn't mess it up. But as Sierra slung her bag over her shoulder and turned toward the TSA security line, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being followed. Watched. The line for security wasn't long. Sierra ran through her mental checklist, the same one her dad had practically drilled into her over the past 2 weeks. Shoes off. Laptop out. Liquids separated. Ahead of her, a little girl tugged on her dad's sleeve. "Daddy, why do we take our shoes off?" she asked. The father chuckled. "Because they want to make sure our feet aren't made of bombs." The girl giggled. Sierra smiled faintly. Normal. Everything was normal. She took a steadying breath and moved forward. Her sneakers went into one bin, her backpack into another. She passed through the scanner without issue. The TSA agent waved her through with a nod. She laced her shoes back on, slung her bag over her shoulder again, and sighed. Smooth sailing. Gate B7. She checked the time. 15 minutes until boarding. She made her way to the seating area near her gate and spotted an empty chair by the window. Dropping into the seat, she let herself relax. Her cousin Marcus had already texted her. "Got next at the arcade. You better not be late," it said. She smiled and typed back, "I'm about to win. You're not ready." Her stomach rumbled. She debated whether she had enough time to grab a snack from the food court when she caught sight of something, or rather, someone, out of the corner of her eye. The woman from check-in. She was still there, standing now near the gate counter, staring directly at Sierra. But this time, she wasn't alone. A man in a TSA uniform stood beside her, their heads close in conversation. Sierra's pulse quickened. This wasn't nothing. She looked around. Other passengers were absorbed in their books and phones. Some were chasing toddlers or arguing over boarding passes. No one else seemed to notice. Maybe she was imagining things. Maybe it was coincidence. But as the TSA agent nodded and the woman pointed directly at Sierra, she knew it wasn't. Her mouth went dry. Her fingers tightened around her phone. She turned toward the window, pretending not to notice, but her mind was already racing through scenarios. What could they want with her? Was there something wrong with her ticket? She didn't have long to wonder. The TSA officer, tall, white, with short cropped hair, approached her with a neutral expression that did nothing to settle her nerves. "Excuse me, miss," he said. His tone was formal. "I need to ask you a few questions." Sierra blinked. "Oh, okay," she managed. The woman from check-in stayed back, but was close enough to listen. Her arms were crossed now, her expression unreadable. "Where are you headed today?" the officer asked. "Seattle," Sierra answered. "To visit my cousin." "Are you traveling alone?" "Yes." He glanced at the woman again, who gave him a slight nod. "Who booked your ticket?" the officer asked. Sierra's eyebrows knit together in confusion. "My dad," she replied. "He always books our trips." The woman exhaled sharply. It wasn't a sound of relief. It was a sound of confirmation. Like she'd been waiting for Sierra to say something specific. The officer's tone changed. It was subtle, but Sierra felt it. "And your father's name?" "Desmond Davis." The officer didn't write anything down. He just stared. Sierra felt heat creep up the back of her neck. "Is there a problem?" she asked, trying to stay calm. The woman finally spoke. "We need to verify some information," she said. Her tone was clipped. "Verify what?" Sierra asked, her voice tight. "Your reservation," the woman said. It was flagged as irregular. Sierra frowned. "How?" "Your name doesn't match the payment method on file." Sierra's breath hitched. "Because my dad paid for it," she said, struggling to keep her tone even. "That's not unusual." "Sometimes it is," the woman replied coolly. Nearby passengers had begun to glance over. Sierra's heart pounded in her chest. "You can check my ID," Sierra said. "It matches the name on the ticket." The officer didn't move. "Why are you really questioning me?" Sierra asked, her voice rising slightly. "I've done nothing wrong." The woman's lips curled into a faint, dismissive smile. "We have to be cautious," she said. Sierra's jaw tightened. She pulled out her phone and dialed her father's number. It rang twice before he picked up. "Hey, baby. You good?" Desmond's voice was warm, but Sierra heard the shift in tone when she answered. "They're saying my ticket was flagged because you booked it," she said quickly. "Put me on speaker," he said sharply. She did. "This is Desmond Davis," he said, his voice filling the air. "Why is my daughter being stopped at the airport?" The officer's eyes flicked to the phone. The woman's expression wavered. "Routine verification," the officer said. "A discrepancy in payment." "I booked her flight," Desmond replied. "She's traveling alone, as a minor." "That's not irregular. That's called parenting." The woman shifted her weight. Her authority, which had seemed absolute a few minutes ago, was suddenly faltering. Desmond continued. "You've questioned her enough. If you delay her flight, you'll answer for it." The officer hesitated. "Sir, we're following procedure." "No," Desmond said flatly. "You're following bias." The silence was suffocating. The woman, whose name tag Sierra could now read, Rebecca Langley, looked everywhere but at Sierra. Finally, she spoke. "We're not detaining her," Langley said. "Just verifying." "You flagged her because of an assumption," Desmond said. "And you'll be filing a report explaining why." Langley paled. The officer, whose name tag read Daniels, shifted uncomfortably. "I want your names," Desmond said. "Both of you." Langley sighed. "Rebecca Langley." "Daniel Rhodes," the officer muttered. Sierra's hands trembled, but she kept her grip steady. "You have an hour to send that report," Desmond said, "or I'll make calls that you won't like." They stepped back. Sierra took a shaky breath. "You okay?" Desmond asked softly. She nodded, but she wasn't sure it was true. As they cleared her to board, Sierra realized that it wasn't over. This wasn't just about her trip to Seattle. It was about something much bigger. At her gate, as she texted Marcus, boarding now, she looked back one last time at Langley and Rhodes. They didn't meet her gaze, but she knew they'd think twice next time. And so would she.